Hey, this is Christian.
And this is Barry.
From the Liberators, and we are currently standing in a classroom on day 2 of the Professional Scrum Master 2 class. And in this video we want to talk about something that we think is very important, and it has everything to do with creating strategy and creating strategy together. And Barry has a good example of doing this with critical uncertainties.
So this morning we helped a group of Scrum Masters define strategies in how to support their product owner. So what we've done is, it might look a little bit messy, but I'm going to try to make sense out of it. We help them define 2 axes that they consider the most critical and uncertain for a product owner in order to be successful. So in this example is really related to how often is the product owner supporting releasing, and how often is the product owner really saying no to the ideas for the product backlog. And based on these, by defining these axes, you'll see that 4 scenarios are emerging. And what we've asked them as a group of Scrum Masters is, how do you know that one of these scenarios is going on? And for that they defined behavior that might be going on in that scenario. They wrote down things that they might see, that they might hear, that they might observe. They really tried to make it very tangible. So how do we know that we end up in a scenario, for example, where a product owner is never releasing and really also never says no? And as a next step, once we've defined the behavior for each of these scenarios, what was the next step, Christian? You want to explain that?
The next step was for the groups to come up with a name that captures what is happening in each quadrant. So for example, in this group, they came up with a name called Iron Lady, which is the scenario where the product owner says yes only to product backlog items that are directly linked to the product vision, and where they are actually never releasing anything. So Iron Lady is just a way for this group to name the scenario they may find themselves in the future. It gives them a word to say, this is what we're doing right now, everyone.
Yeah. So once they define the behavior for each plausible future that might happen, and give each scenario a name, we ask them to define strategies, practices or experiments that they could try in each scenario to make sure, in this example, the product owner will still become or be successful. And as a closing step, we ask them, so what is a 50% solution that you as a Scrum Master can take just tomorrow to support your product owner move in the right direction and become more successful?
Yeah, what's nice about critical uncertainties, this is one of the examples of something we call strategy knotworking in liberating structures. It's all about creating strategy together. So this is not something that an agile coach does on his or her own. This is not something a Scrum Master does on his or her own. This is something that you do together. You can also do this for the product that you're building. So ask people what future scenarios may unfold for our product and what strategies can help us remain effective if we find ourselves in those scenarios. And that's really powerful if you do it together. It's all about commitment, courage, openness, and working together.
Or team dynamics. What are possible team dynamics that we might observe in our team or might end up to using, and how can we deal with those dynamics in our team? Let's define strategies about that.
So we'll add a link to read more about strategy knotworking as a concept, and we'll also add a link to critical uncertainty so you can give it a try with your own team.
Yeah.
Let us know how things go, and see you soon.
Good luck.
Bye.